Hi, JT.
Now, I know it's not morning your side of the planet, but it's such a nice treat to have you on the program here this morning. I want to start, before we bring the kids and the children into the mix here, I want you to take us back to the day of the earthquake, because it's something that a lot of us will never experience in our lifetimes. But just take us back to that day and the series of events that would follow.
I think the biggest memory of the actual earthquake for me is the initial, save the dishes in the cupboard and then forget the dishes and save my bones and get out of the house to be greeted by the neighbors, none of whom speak English, and I don't speak Japanese yet. And we crossed that barrier and just took care of each other very well. The earthquake was not sort of a momentary thing. It lasted for several minutes. And by the time that the heavy shaking stopped, the word was out that the tsunami was coming. There's no time to do anything except get in the car and drive to the top of the mountain. So, which we did. Luckily, my home is like an oasis. There's damage around us. But my home was fine, and we lived right on the dike, so we watched the water get sucked out of the river and then swell back up the river. We are only about 4.5 kilometers from all of the devastation of the tsunami, and so it was a very short period of time before everybody kicked into gear. To what can we do? What can we do? We're the fortunate ones here. Even we have no electricity, we have no water, we have no gas to cook. We turned over curbs from the side of the road and made hibachis out of them, made barbecues out of them, and quickly began to cook for the neighborhood. And it was an amazing experience for people to come together and dispel the fear. It was really important for us not to be afraid, but to figure out how fortunate we were and what could we do to help somebody who was in a worse position.
So what you're saying is, survival instinct automatically kicks in. It's something that most of us will never experience. Obviously, with the language barrier, there must have been a sense of panic for yourself.
I was sort of, I have no choice but to trust that these people are going to care for me. And somehow or another in the process, they made it known to me that to put some bedding into the car, get a box, put some water, put some food into the car, and which I did. And we spent the first 3 nights sleeping in the car, eating, cooking, on top of the mountain. It was snowing, it was raining, it was, a really kind of unpleasant atmosphere all around. And when I didn't have to be on the mountain, then we took the cars down and got people from the helicopters and the fire trucks, etc., and got them into the evacuation centers. So we were busy enough to dispel, a lot of that grieving. We were too busy just doing what needed to be doing. It's
a tragic event. I know many lives have been lost, but sometimes an event like this can bring the very best out of people. And how are you moving forward? I know we've passed now the 1-month anniversary. How are the Japanese moving forward with this event?
My first response would be with grace and dignity. They truly are just, okay, what do we do next? How do we do what we need to do next? The issues are huge. We've got 3 schools piled into one school. We've got all the family members of elementary school students from the Alahama area, which doesn't even exist anymore. They all have absolutely nothing. The clothes on their back, which were donated, and the clothes in their bag, a second set. 400 people living in the school gymnasium, and their kids are attending the elementary school. Services are gone, and there's a huge need for as much help as what can possibly come. These kids don't have of course, any income in their family to pay for extracurricular activities at school. Certainly, language training is an extra that they couldn't possibly shell out for. So a group of us here are language teachers, are volunteering our services to continue language training within the school systems in this area, at the same time providing whatever we can from the heart into the gymnasiums, which still house thousands of evacuees, to bring some activity, some life, and some laughter into those situations. The volunteer centers are jammed with people who have taken their holidays and have set up a tent outside of the volunteer center and are spending their entire holidays shoveling out the mud from the homes that have been deemed to possibly be able to be moved back into. I worked side by side with a doctor who does all the technology behind the heart transplants and valve transplants, and he had hip waders on and was shoveling out the elementary school in one of the hardest hit areas. This is the kind of spirit of the Japanese people that I'm privileged to walk beside every day.
Now, how are the children doing in the schools? I mean, because this is a lot to absorb and a lot to understand.
The children we're noticing some behaviors that certainly have changed, and we're going to have to address them through programs as we go. For example, before when they heard the ambulance siren, they might mimic it. Me, mom, they would mimic it. Now they run and hide under the slide in the playground, for example. Yeah. Or they run to some adult to hang on. Kind of automatic responses that are happening, and we have some concerns about that. We have one girl in our area, not a student of ours, but that we know of, who lost every member of her family. Brothers, sisters, mother, father, has gone to live with her paternal grandparents in the south of Japan. Now, they are her only family that are left. That's the tragic family story that I know of. But the kids are caring for each other. The media here immediately started running how to care for each other, how to make each other feel safe, how to show each other that we care, kind of advertising. And the kids have picked that up. We've picked it up and put it into our programs here. So, kindness creates magic is the theme, and the magic is caring for each other.
It's a shame sometimes because media sometimes, it's their job to broadcast the devastation, and that's sometimes all we see. But then there's always another side to the story, the remarkable stories of the rebuilding process, and those are the stories. Those are the stories that are uplifting. I know the Japanese have always had a very unique kindred spirit to do whatever's possible to get through the hardest of times. Do you know what the status is of the nuclear plants? Have they been stabilized?
Well, we have no fear here of the plant. As far as I know, it's stabilized. Julian's in-laws actually live 3 kilometers from the plant, and they've been evacuated, and within that 10-kilometer radius is a serious evacuation, or even 30-kilometer radius, there's a serious evacuation there. Yeah. They won't be allowed to go back to their home for up to 10 years. So that's kind of in that area. I live 65 kilometers away from the plant, and we have no health risk from radiation here at all.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. Gwen, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I know we'll be in touch again in the near future.
And thank you so much, JT. I know that it's evening there for you, and you're the morning show guy, so this is outside of your time zone for sure.
The second song is going to be a song called Chisanate, which means little hand.
Little hand, okay.
Can be so little, but it can do so much.
And I know you're the maestro, Julian, so the ball is in your court.
Okay, sounds good. So hold on then, JT, and I'll see how we're getting on here.
Thanks so much.
Good morning, everyone. We are now in touch with Canada. Canada's a very, very big country, so we're going to have to sing very, very loudly. Are you ready?
Okay, JT.
Gwen, that was wonderful. You know, it's amazing. You can go halfway around the world, and they say that music has magical powers, and you can't help but feel united, and the world just becomes that much smaller of a place. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Great. Thank you for giving us the chance to share the magic. We'll be in touch again soon, I hope.